Welcome, Sambaza.
Hey Jen, what's up? Yeah, you keep forgetting
Hey.
my credentials. Here, what's going on?
No, I have an intro one and intro two, so I just
I
was
saw
like,
that.
okay, we'll do intro one. So,
Oh, okay, that's awesome. At least I know
how's it going?
oh, it's going great. Great week. Everything seems to be in place right now, though I have to travel. I think I told you this. We have the death in the family, but
Hmm.
it's all good. We're gonna be traveling a little bit.
Condolences.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
All right.
Other than that, what do we have for the show today? I think we have something great, right?
We do, as always. um,
Hey.
definitely want to continue honoring or acknowledging
Mm-hmm,
International Women's Month. We actually had International Women's Day this past week.
mm-hmm.
And so we have a great guest who will be joining us as we spotlight and take a look at Black women in media and what that looks like in celebration of International Women's History Month. So I have a really great guest
Okay.
who's an award-winning journalist, and I will introduce formally in a moment.
Let's start that affirmation for the day. I think
Sure.
this is for the Black History Month. Actually, for women's. No, it was for Black History Month last time. Now it's for
Mhm.
women's. It says, "I'm calm, centered, and at peace." How you like that? I'm calm, centered, and at peace.
Okay, I received that. Thank you for sharing the affirmation for sure. And I guess at this time, we will go ahead and introduce our guests, if that is good.
Yep.
Again, welcome everyone and happy International Women's History Month. Our next guest is an award winning journalist who has led some of the most influential platforms in Black media and digital news. She has served as the editor in chief of The Roots and HuffPost, broken ground as head writer on the TJ Holmes Late Night Show, and earned national recognition for elevating Black stories and speaking openly about mental health in a high pressure industry. She has a new blog called Antisocial and recently launched a new business venture, Ebony and Orchard. And she is from my hometown. So, with that, please welcome Danielle C Bolton.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for
Welcome.
that introduction, Jennifer.
You're welcome for sure.
I gotta tell you, Jennifer does a great job in these introductions. When she starts off, man, sometimes I'm like, what do you, wow, where did you get all this? Well, pleasure to have you, Miss
For
Oh,
sure.
it's a
Belton.
pleasure to be here.
Right.
Jennifer failed to mention our connection, though. In that intro, I kept waiting. Like, we've known each other. I've known Jennifer since she was like 4.
Oh,
I've known her as long as she has been alive.
well, now I get to hear some stories about Jennifer. Jennifer, you ready for these stories? All right, all right, all right. So,
Yeah.
welcome. So now, to start off the show, I just wanted to let you guys know that I do travel since I'm from Africa and I travel. So this time I went to a country called Comoros. Now, Comoros is officially known as the Union of Comoros, and it's an archipelagic, archipelagic, yeah, country made up of 3 islands in southeastern Africa. Now, it's located at the northern end of the Mozambique Channel in the Indian Ocean. The country has 3 official languages, which is Comorian, it's called Shikomori, Arabic, and French. Now, the waters around Comoros are home to coelacanth. I don't know how to say that, but a living fossil fish thought to have gone extinct within the dinosaurs and has been found over there. And another interesting thing about Comoros is they have 2 marriages, and one is a small one, a big one, and it kind of shows how rich you are because it's very expensive. The second one, and having the second wedding, usually the woman gets the house or a house, and these weddings are usually grand and can last for
Mhm.
days. Now, to our proverb, it says, "If you live in the river, you should make friends with the crocodile." I'll repeat that again. This is our Comorian proverb. If you live in the river, you should make friends with the crocodile. If you can interpret it with in your own words, Miss Belton.
Oh, sure. So, for me, what that says is Like if you choose to work in a particular industry or live in a particular town or be part of a particular culture, it makes sense to affiliate yourself with someone who actually knows what's going on or has some type of power or control. The crocodile is an apex predator in the water and can eat you. So it probably doesn't hurt to be its friend.
Sounds right. Jen?
Okay. So, so I mean, it just makes me think like when in Rome or something like that, even though this is an African proverb. But yeah.
Jen, that was actually very nice. I hadn't thought about it. Yeah, if you're in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Yeah.
Both are actually right in their own way because
Mhm.
whenever you're in somewhere unfamiliar, you have to look out for the person who might know more of the surrounding that you're in and kind of be a friend to them so that they can give you the 411 about what is going on and tell you, hey, look out for this, look out for that. And
Mhm.
that will make you have a comfortable uh, time, say, be it at work, be it at your neighborhood or anywhere else. I think that's a great proverb to start us off for the day.
Okay.
Now, my question to start you off, take us back to the beginning. When did you first realize you wanted to be a journalist, and what did those early steps into the industry look like for you?
So I think I've always wanted to be a journalist. Both my parents were hardcore news junkies. That means they read the newspaper. We got the newspaper daily at our house. They watched the local news, both the 5 and the 6 o'clock, plus the national news. And then when CNN came along, they watched CNN. We got pretty much every Black publication you could ever read, from Ebony, Jet, Essence, Five. We all read it in our household. And it was just, I think it was just a matter of time that they had 3 kids. One of them was going to want to be a journalist if they were surrounded by this much journalism. And I already had a real curiosity for the world and for history. And so it just made a lot of sense. I remember the first news story that I followed, or that's in my memory, because that's how long I've been watching the news with my parents, was since the 80s, was probably the Iran Contra affair. I literally
Oh,
remember watching the hearings with my dad and my mother and their commentary on it, and just wanting to understand what was happening and how it all fit in the world that we live in. And by the time I would say I was like 10, I was pretty socially aware just about some of the issues that we face as Black people in this country and about what was going on in politics at the time. Like I remember both times Jesse Jackson ran for president
Mm.
because my parents were watching it. And I just thought this information is so critical because if you better understand the world around you, you can make better decisions for yourself and your families. And so I was always attracted to journalism. I can still remember when I was about 9 or 10, I made a little magazine for my baby sister Deidre called the Tuesday Times. So I was always thinking about journalism. I always wanted to do it. I either wanted to be written about or I wanted to be the writer. And ultimately, I chose to be the writer. I started out at J School in Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. And originally, I went there to be an artist. I don't know if Jennifer remembers this. I used to love to draw. And I thought I wanted to be a cartoonist for the longest. But then when I went into the art program, I didn't really fit in. And so my father pulled me aside and was like, hey, I see you're really struggling with the art program. What's going on? And so I told him my concerns. And he was like, well, you're a really strong writer. Have you ever considered journalism? And I was just like, well, there's no money in journalism. And my dad was like, I was going to let you be an artist and there's no money in it. And I was like, touche. And so that's how it started. I started at small town newspapers in Texas and California, and I did it the hard way. I worked my way up.
I was an artist too back in the day, and I retired.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's a
Yes,
good
it
profession
is.
So
Excellent artist for sure. I did remember that, even with your blog, which we're going to get into some of that about your independent
Yeah.
content that you made before reaching on the national platforms. But you built your own platform and voice before stepping into what one would call big legacy brands. What did you do early on that made your work stand out enough for mainstream outlets to pay attention?
What I did was a combination of hijacking SEO and just believing in my own abilities. So from a very early age, I always felt I was pretty smart. And I thought I was a strong writer. And so I just felt like this is a good path for me to the creative path. I was supposed to be a creative. And so I knew what people like to read. I
Mhm.
knew how the style of reading they liked and the voice that they liked to hear. And what they wanted was authenticity. And someone who's a unique persona with a unique kind of point of view, but unique, but not so unique that you couldn't relate to. Like my style of writing when I was a blogger was very much, oh, this is exactly what I wanted to say. And she put it perfectly in words. I was always able to kind of encapsulate how people were thinking and feeling. And so what I did was, this was when SEO was still like a new thing when people figure out how to manipulate Google to get hits. And so I wrote about Michelle Obama's fashion. I was one of the first bloggers to do it in 2008 in January. And so people were furiously Googling, what outfits she had on. So
Yeah,
the first search result that came up was my blog, The Black Snob.
nice.
And then from there, I started writing about other Black journalists who were on television.
Mhm.
I did this specifically because most of them did not have their own websites at the time. And so if someone thought TJ Holmes, who at the time was the host of CNN Weekend, if they thought he was cute and they typed his name into the Google, the first search that came up was my website because I was the main person writing about it.
Okay. Okay, so all that was intentional. So
Yeah,
that's okay. I mean, really, it's like, how do I, think outside the box? How do I stand out when it's so many people that have, a blog? It's back in that
exactly.
blog spot, and everybody was popping up a blog. So that's cool.
It was very strategic. And because of the fact that the journalists Googled themselves. That's often what happened. Like everyone Googles themselves. Everyone has Google alerts set up for their accounts. And so these journalists would read about themselves on my website. And then they'd go like, well, what else is on here? They'd click around, they'd read my other content. They were like, oh, she's actually really smart and talented. This is really funny. Let's put her on CNN. And that's pretty much how it happened. I
That's cool.
It was nice.
um, I want to ask this follow up on question is, were there any no or setbacks that you experienced in that blogging times? Where you may have got into somewhere and maybe try to put yourself in the mix, and then it'd be like, oh, no, 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 no. And then if these setbacks kind of propelled you somehow into your career.
Oh, there were plenty of setbacks. I didn't know what I was doing.
Mhm.
I was making it up as I went along. So I made mistakes all the time. My biggest mistake was that I did not know how to make money. I didn't understand the business side of things.
Mhm.
I had a keen understanding of what people like to read and what voices they like to hear, but I had no idea how to monetize it. I was lucky if I made $100 on a given month. And at the time, I was doing between 250,000 to almost half a million visitors. And so the fact that I couldn't figure out
Oh, wait a minute. How many?
monthly, yeah, like
Okay.
8 months, like in a month.
Okay. Yeah.
So at the same time, I didn't know how to monetize that back then. I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm,
So I sometimes I could get like $1,000. That was like a good month. But this is in the
mhm,
early days of blogging.
mhm.
And it's not like how it is now, where you have Patreon, you have all these systems set up to help people get paid. All we had was like a raggedy PayPal account for you to put like a tip jar on your blog page.
Okay.
So it's not like now where there's Substack and Ghost and all these platforms where people can sign up for your newsletter and like send you $10 a month. That just did not exist. in 2008. That was not a thing. So you had to get your money the old fashioned way, which was like become like a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a salesperson. I'm not even a good salesperson. So, yeah. I'm too blunt and I don't know how to censor myself to a certain extent. So it's like, it doesn't work. I can't be a salesperson. And so I did not make a lot of money during that time period, even though I could prove that I could build a big audience.
Mm-hmm.
But what it did do for me was that it did lead to almost every job I got after that.
Mm-hmm.
Because other people saw that, oh, I can make money off of this person because they can build an audience.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
that was how that's how my career basically took off, was because of that blog, because it demonstrated to so many individuals how you could put this together and how you could make it work.
Okay.
So yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. And with that information, you made my heart cringe a little bit when you said, the amount of traffic you had. And considering back then when people used to say blogging brings a lot of money, and you said you hadn't thought about it. That was interesting. But like I
That's a
said,
different time period, though. I mean,
exactly.
Very different time period. We're talking 2004 to 2011. Most bloggers didn't make money. It's like most influencers don't make money.
Right.
There was a lot of blogs, and a lot of people were just hoping to get a job out of it, just like I was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that opened up, like you said, that opened up doors and to all the jobs that came out. Now we're going to jump to where we're talking about you upon becoming the editor in chief of The Root. How did you leverage your experience and against adversity, like gender, age, differing norms within the newsroom? You know what? Yeah.
Yeah, so like when I became editor in chief of The Root, I was about 38 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And up to that point, I hadn't really, in my opinion, I don't feel like I've experienced gender discrimination. I'm sorry, not gender. I take that back. I mean age discrimination.
Okay.
I don't feel like I've been discriminated against because of my age. If anything, I felt like my age was an advantage because I was so much younger than everyone else. And if I could demonstrate that I had talent to back up my youth, people were like, oh, let's prop her up. So for a long time, me being the youngest person in the room was great, because if you're a hard worker and you're talented, people are just going to like gravitate to you because also you're cheaper. Like it doesn't cost you to employ a young person, and you can basically just exploit their labor and talents. Oh, if you're wealthy. But you also will pay that young person ideally, and they'll be able to move up further along in their career and get to what they're trying to ultimately go. So youth works in a workplace. Getting older does not always. Getting older, it becomes less about, well, you can't really exploit an older person's labor. They know their worth.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you this. Speaking of adversity, we've had a lot of conversations about lack of representation in the media. From your experience, do you still see this as a problem?
Oh, just lack of representation in general?
Yes.
Of course.
In the media. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is a huge issue. A lot of newsrooms are not diverse.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that when the National Association of Black Journalists was founded, the number of Black journalists working in mainstream publications was around 5%. Mm-hmm. And I want to say I read on Richard Prince's website a month ago, he chronicles the work of journalists that the number is only bumped up to maybe 6.
Wow.
And that's from like the 1970s, like up to now. And it's crazy. Right. Like NABJ, I think, is a 50-year-old organization. So it's just, it's astounding. So, it's still a fight. And it's even more of a fight now in this current environment where the media is being persecuted and people are really cracking down and folks are afraid. And so when people are afraid, they act in ways that are outside of their character, whether they believe in diversity or not. A lot of newsrooms are running away from it because they don't want to raise the ire of the administration.
That's true.
I want to go back to this leveraging idea that I had, especially now, like the ladies we had this issue where ladies cannot go into the locker room, for NFL teams. And I've been in a newsroom before. That was way back when. And it is more male dominated in terms of storytelling, and then that machoism back in the day, and it's changing, right? These are the things that when you get in there, it's like this is how it's done. Now you show up and you're like, okay, this is me, young. People want to teach you, but then they still that this is how we do it. Now, how are you able to kind of move your way around that and still be
Yes.
all right? Who was the crocodile that helped you? You understand like how am I going to deal with these things? Like, was there a mentor or yeah?
Oh, I did not have a mentor. Having a mentor would have actually been quite helpful because, like, again, I had no idea what I was doing because I was going a path that no one around me had really done, which is like turn being a blogger after being a local news reporter, after being from a small town called Florissant in Missouri. Like, how do you get from there to here? It's a treacherous path. It's difficult. And it's complicated. It's just a lot of things going on. So that other people might not have to deal with. Most people who make it to higher levels in this industry come from families of privilege and they went to Ivy League schools, and so I did not have a mentor. That's part of the reason why I'm often a mentor to so many different young people to this day, because I strongly believe that if you have the knowledge, you should pass it down. And I wish someone had passed some knowledge down to me. Might have gotten where I was going faster.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were just completely driven though, and I think that's awesome. I mean, it's a different path, but I mean, just had that fire. Like, okay, I'm gonna even if I gotta go far away from home,
No, I was always very. I mean, what you've known me again since I've known you since you were born. So I'm 3 years older than you.
Yeah, this is great.
I gotta hear some stories.
I'm sorry.
I gotta hear some stories here about Jen because she be very secretive about
Jen
Jen.
was a lovely child. She has such a great personality.
Okay.
Well, in our family, she's known as the fourth Belton sister because there's three Belton sisters, and Jennifer was the unofficial fourth.
Ah, nice. See, now I learned some new things today. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I practically kind of lived with them.
The moms were pregnant at the same time. Her mom was pregnant with her, and my mom was pregnant with my baby sister. And they were literally in the same hospital room together. I think my dad told me.
Oh,
they were in the same hospital room.
Oh my God, that's I didn't know.
That's crazy at one point. And so, so my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and Jennifer's mother had to work. And so my mom babysat her.
Yeah, I remember. God, I didn't know that they knew each other that far back.
They knew each other because of your brother. Your brother's the same age as Denise.
Right. But
that's how they became friends. They became friends because your brother was the same class with Denise.
This is kind of funny.
Jen, we got family history here right now.
I know it's deep. It's deep.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear about.
No, actually.
No, I want to reframe because I know you have the other platforms going. Is that right, Sambaza?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is I will riff on our families forever.
I think people love to hear about Jen. Now we do have right now we are on Substack and we're on YouTube, Facebook, and also we are on StreamYard. Now we cannot go into TikTok because for some odd reason TikTok have changed their policies and we can't do the POV. We have to have people engage in the POV type of deal. So we had to keep off that. But y'all can find us in these socials and join us. And if you have any questions, hey, feel free to throw them in there and we'll ask. So go ahead, Jen. I think my next question will be, actually this goes, you are going talking about it and we just kind of step back a little bit. And if a young Black creator came up to you today and said, I want to do what you do, what roadmap would you give them?
Oh, I would ask them several critical questions, like
Hmm.
what basis, what foundation are you working with?
Hmm.
Because what toolkit you have and what support you have will determine what kind of path is going to be best for you.
Hmm.
Because like I've tried them all, so so I take a really clinical kind of approach to it. But outside of that, in the more broader sense, I would say like how badly do you want it?
Oh yeah.
Because that's really what it boils down to. It's there's not a lot of money, especially in the beginning. It's highly competitive, and there's all kinds of discrimination. So you better really want this. You better be willing to put in the work and to deal with the obstacles and to somehow bounce back after every one of them. Because if you're not resilient, you'll never survive.
Hmm. Now I have to throw this question. Is this what we're seeing? First of all, I need a moment to go back to that thingy about CNN. I want to know how the experience is to be on CNN. You know, we see it on the back end looking in. You'll tell us that in a little bit. But you talked about this idea of it being cutthroat, and there's a lot of experiences that you get there, which you have to have tough skin. Is this what we're seeing right now in journalists, where you notice that there has been disparity between melanated journalists as opposed to the Caucasian ones, vis-a-vis, all the same? Some of them, it's all in the same boat. Some of them do get, fired because they said something, and they they are being attacked. Is this what journalism is? And I think also, if you come in this, if you're gonna, I'd like you to also kind of angle it where the women are, kind of African American women.
Oh, well, yes and no. So the thing is, you don't have a lot of control when you're starting out as a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
And you really don't even have a lot of control as you move up. The reality is, whoever owns the publication or the TV network, like they have the real control here because they own it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore, they can make whatever decision they freely wish to make with that organization. Some people are very good stewards of news organizations. They do amazing work. They're great champions for their journalists. They know when to step in and they know when to fall back. But some others, it's like it's just a money making enterprise for them. And then for in even worse cases, for some that is an ideologue that just wants to control the narrative. And that's just kind of like what you're up against. What you want is that first version, someone who understands that the press is supposed to be free. I'm going to respect the rights of the free press and I'm going to fall back. And I'm going to make it my mission to make sure that this stays well funded, it stays in business, and my journalists are protected. Like if you can work for a publication that has that kind of foundation,
Mm-hmm.
you work for an amazing publication because that's how they all should be, but they aren't.
Okay. Okay.
And that's what we're up against right now.
Oh.
Yeah, things are really different. And just to reframe for people tuning in on other platforms, we're speaking with award winning journalist Danielle Bolton, and we're discussing Black women in media in celebration of International Women's History Month. And here's another thought. So, a lot of people know you from The Root, HuffPost, and you shared that your journey began being an independent creator with your first blog, The Black Snob, and that has led you to some new projects. And so, we would like to have you share about what you're working on now.
Sure. So right now I have my blog Antisocial, which is all about trying to create more connection in this very disconnected world we're living in right now. So much of our society kind of encourages people to live their lives in their phones and just live their lives in their homes and really isolate, which is really not healthy, emotionally, spiritually, physically for human beings. We're social creatures. We're supposed to spend some time together. And I feel like a lot of the depression and frustration that people feel is rooted in this isolation they've unintentionally imposed upon themselves they're so immersed in the digital world. So that's antisocial. And the other project that I'm working on right now is a women's empowerment dinner series called Ebony and Orchid that I co-created with my friend, Junie Ann Hibbert, here in New York City. We work with women leaders of color from all walks of life, whether they're entrepreneurs or work in media or work in corporate America, to kind of like network and really like rely on one another to kind of get forward in this next in our next phases in our lives. A lot of it is just about, like when you're in your 20s and 30s, you're still figuring your career out. And then you get to your 40s and 50s and you think, like, this is where I'm supposed to be going to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is an organization where people can kind of like have those type of cross-generational conversations.
Nice. And I'm going to go out of order for this last one because this one touches on what she just spoke about, so don't give me that look.
No. I'm
So
for it.
at HuffPost, you encounter, and you share about this in your video about Ebony and Orchid, which I just think is so dope. In HuffPost, you encountered a moment, a pivotal decision that you had to make in your career, and that shaped your path. And I'd like you to share a little bit about that experience and the thought process for that choice you had to make.
Oh, I don't remember what interview this was.
No, I think that was just your promo video of saying like at HuffPost you had to decide to.
Oh, you mean the one I put up on Instagram?
Yes, or on LinkedIn too.
Yeah, I did also put it up on LinkedIn. Yes. I was saying how over a year ago, I left my role at HuffPost because we were facing staffing cuts. And I wanted to save jobs. And so I stepped down from that position. But I'm not exactly remember which, because I tell a lot of anecdotes in life, so I can't remember specifically which one I talked about in that video.
No, but I mean that really, like I was telling you about this, like literally you sacrificed yourself. Take me, don't take my, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she actually did that. Like that's deep.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, to me, it was just the right thing to do. I feel like the work that HuffPost is doing right now is so important because it is still an independently, it's owned by BuzzFeed. It's not like owned by someone that I consider to be like a problem, like it's still a good company. And so I still see good things for it. And so I wanted to leave in a way that would make it stronger, not weaker.
But I mean, even being a lead, continuing your leadership role as editor in chief, you could continue to, have a say.
I know. I understand that, but it was just like, to me, the reporters are so much more important. Like, yes, I have a role to play in all of it. Yeah. But they're the ones that are actually at Capitol Hill every day. They're the ones who are being doxxed and harassed, and they're the ones who fear for their lives because they're most visible.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like you're the quarterback that decided, you know what, instead of restructuring my contract, I'm going to, give up my contract and go search for another team.
Yeah, it was quarterback seems like, I don't know. I was the coach. I was the coach.
No,
but I mean, the quarterback, they look at the quarterback as like the leader of the team.
Well, the coach is the leader of the team.
But they look to the quarterback. They look to the quarterback.
Yeah,
though.
Quarterback is a say all.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I wasn't all directly on the field. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I wasn't gathering news anymore. That's what I used to do when I worked in newspapers. I was the person that was making sure there was money for the organization and that people were supported and that folks felt safe. Like that was my job.
I think you're just being very, very modest at this time, just trying to But I have a question with regard to that. Actually, that's a good way. It actually gives me the next question for you. From NPR, I do realize that, well, they had a story like about a year ago. They were talking about the way these small town magazines reports have been swallowed up by these big time companies that are coming up, and they're buying them shares, and now it's more profit making rather than the stories. And you get this situation where some of these local newspapers are just fizzling out because one, they can't be staffed. Two, if they cannot bring profits, they're taken out. But the bigger sense is they're being bought by the big companies who now control the narrative. Brings back to this idea of you going back into blogging. Are you seeing blogging as the next frontier for your local newspapers to be able to gather information? Like you said, your dad used to get every publication, brought into the house. They drop the paper, the paper boy drops it. We don't have that now. So is blogging the next frontier into that?
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, blogging wasn't sustainable. Like now it's a little different because you have people who are really big names involved. You have like Don Lemon and Joanne Reed, and everyone knows them. So it's easier for them to build a platform for themselves that's sustainable. But journalism is expensive. Mhm. It's not just about, oh, I can just get up and say a few words, and it involves research and reporting, and you need to have editors, and you need to have writers, and you need to have people who can shoot video, and at a bare minimum, you need at least someone who's going to have your back if you get sued.
And
That happens a lot.
Okay.
So it's like there's no safety net if you go independent. You have to have your own back. But if you're part of a major publication, like they have the finances to offer you some semblance of protection.
Okay. That's interesting. I've been taking journalism classes right now for the last maybe like about a year now, and it's really interesting. Yeah, it is an expensive program, but it's interesting. I love it. I love journalism. It's
I mean, you're doing it right now. This is journalism. You're asking.
Absolutely. Very intentional. Yeah, absolutely. And no, go ahead.
No, my before I go to the next question, Jen, you take on the next question. This one is for me, my special question. Please tell us how it was on CNN. That how the place is. How they call you.
Well, when I went on CNN, I think that was the first time. It was probably 2010.
Mhm.
It was here in New York. It was at when they were at One Columbus Circle, which is a fascinating place to put a news organization. Like it's such a cool view of the city. But yeah, so it's like I went up to the offices. The offices look like any other TV station's offices. It's like it's cable news, so it's really sleek and kind of interesting looking, but not like crazy expensive like journalism is. Like I said again, like they're not like known for anymore anyway. I'm blowing a lot of money on stuff, but CNN was nice. Like it was really really nice. And I got to go into the makeup room, and they got me all done up, and that was like really nice. And I remember I went on the air. I was wearing a blue and black dress, and my hair was in a big afro because I wore my hair in a giant afro at the time. And I had told my parents that I was going to be on CNN. And my mother proceeded to call every person she knew in life to let them know I was going to. I'm sure she called your mom to let everyone know I was going to be on CNN and what time I was going to be on. And after I did the hit, I immediately called my parents because anyone knows my parents. My mom loved everything I've ever done, and my dad is like my biggest critic because he wants me to be the best. And so I really wanted to get their feedback and see what they thought because their opinions mattered so much to me. So I called them, and my dad answers the phone, and I said, "Daddy, what'd you think?" And he was just like, "Oh, well, you're doing all right, but you moved your head so much. You're like an ethnic person." I'm like, "Okay, please put mommy up the phone." And he has to go to my mother, and I say, "Mommy, what did you think?" And she just goes, "You were beautiful." Over and over and over again. So to this day, I don't remember what I talked about. All I remember is my parents' response to it.
Oh, that's content. You gotta do a flashback on that. That's
That's a
cool.
whole story. Like a
Thank,
home from Missouri to New York and to hit CNN. That's a great story, right there.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, I went on to go on the weekends on a regular basis with Frederica Whitfield. I met her when I lived in DC, and she really enjoyed my work, so she put me on CNN on a regular basis, and that was really nice. I used to always argue with some black Republican whose name is escaping me right now, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. See, you're being very modest. I'm like, wait. Oh, so much knowledge, so much stuff. You know.
I yeah.
Go ahead,
We're
Jen.
just so okay. We're just so excited that you took the time to share. Like this is really great
No
nugget.
problem. I'm happy that can come on.
Absolutely. And okay, so next we will ask you this as an affirmative voice in the mental health space and advocate. What conversations in your opinion, do we need to normalize about Black women in mental health?
I think we have to just call things what they actually are and normalize that. Because as Black people, we already kind of have terms for what we're going through. Like my nerves are fried. I'm just getting on my last nerves. Like I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Like people, well, they will communicate their pain to you, but we don't interpret it in a medical sense.
Yes.
We just use these little colloquialisms and phrases to kind of like,
Thinking of like two or three that I know I've heard, just growing up in St. Louis, and it may be I don't know if it's a regional thing or if it's just like someone will say, "Well, he's a little touched," and it's like, what does that mean?
exactly. It's just like, no, you're saying that they're going through it. They have mental health issues.
Yeah,
But you can't say that because there's a stigma attached to it.
that's
I
right.
think we just have to like acknowledge what things actually are as a first step. So instead of saying like this person is touched in the head, like just say like, oh, I think they're really struggling with mental health issues. Because that's actually what you mean.
Right.
And so it's like it's time for us to be honest with each other and stop trying to pave it over as something else that it's not. A lot of times there's all this pressure put on Black people to be tough in all circumstances, all the time, with 110% 10 toes down tough. And that's not healthy for anybody, male, female, regardless. It's just not healthy to never be able to truly express the full extent of your emotions as a human being.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I was thinking about it, the words that you guys have used, and if we had to say it in the Swahili sense of saying somebody's not right, if I'm to do direct translation, it says their head has jumped. That's a direct translation. So his head has jumped. So yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. All right, Jen, what's the next question? I already have my question answered. That CNN thing did me. So
Well, yeah, have you been on NPR? No, like NPR is your jam.
I've been on NPR. I've been on NPR quite a bit. I used to go on the Michelle Martin show, Tell Me More.
oh man, I love NPR. That's if I ever get a chance, if I'm ever asked another career to take apart from now working on Sambaza and stuff, yeah, I'd do NPR. I'd go to NPR. They have a nice way of
You
storytelling.
have a contact, and we'll work on that later. Another contact with NPR. Jude.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no. Shout out to the platform, CNN, NPR, all of them. That's amazing. So I guess as we round out, any advice that you would give independent creators?
I would probably give the same advice that I would have given someone who just wants to break into this field, because independent creators is very similar to going into journalism. It's similar to going into any creative field that involves writing or art or the humanities. So it's like do you really want it? Like, how bad do you actually want this? Are you willing to, what are you willing to actually sacrifice to get to where you're trying to go? Because the playing field is not fair.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the road is uneven and uncharted in some cases. So if you really want to get to where you're trying to go, you have to decide, what are you willing to put up with and what you're not going to put up
Okay.
with, and that's the decision that you ultimately have to make of what you're willing to tolerate in this situation. What parts of yourself are you willing to sacrifice with the hopes of like getting higher up? Like
Right.
it's a tough field. It's competitive.
Right. And I guess you have done, people can always pivot, and use their skills and talents in multiple ways and things like that. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's something that's helpful, someone that is interested in this. I think about my little niece. She wants to go into journalism and be on the red carpet and things like that. It's like this great idea, and why not? You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, reach for those stars, aim for it, and you can always pivot if you get out there and you decide, you know what, this doesn't feel right. You
Yeah,
know,
oh, definitely. I actually tell people that they shouldn't major in journalism. They should major in something else and just get an internship in
mm,
journalism
mhm,
because you'll want to have something to fall back on in case journalism doesn't work out. Because again, it's a creative field. It's very competitive.
right.
So there's no bang to the buck.
If you get to the top, there is.
Oh, wait. When you talk about the top, where's the top? How good would you have to be? Because um, Don Lemon is Don Lemon, right? And Don Lemon gets called out different places. You have made it there too, like you're in that scale. Hey, if you can make a blog and 250,000 people come to your whatever, no. Well, well, I think you hadn't met Jen with her marketing skills at that time to tell you, hey, there's money in here, there's money in there. We got to do this. She sells stuff now. She's good at selling. So probably at that time she could have marketed for you. But as you know, people fantasize it. It's either you're fantasizing to be known. There's that the fame that comes around with it, and then also with that fame has some responsibility. And then also, does that also come with the monies? Like I want to live in a good neighborhood. I want to live in a place like because when I live in Kenya, journalists were very few, and when you see a
Yeah.
journalist, it was like wow, you know, uh,
Yeah.
and they had their aura in them. They never made money back then. Nowadays, with the social media and stuff like that, there is that opportunity to make something of yourself. So now, at what point are you making money? Editor in chief,
It really depends on the
the
publication
weatherman.
and your level of experience.
Okay.
It just, you can be an editor in chief and make like nothing. Like the title means, it just really just depends on where you go to work and who you go to work for.
It seems like the experience is more important to like take you on to the next thing, right?
Yes,
Okay.
experience is very critical. It
And
is.
and what I've
truly
noticed,
is. But journalism, like, you have to look at it this way.
uh-huh.
A lot of people like to play basketball. How many people actually make it to the NBA?
Mm.
It's the same way with journalism. Lots of people want to be writers and work the red carpet, and be reporters and work in news. How many people are going to be Don Lemon?
Mhm.
There's only one Don Lemon.
But I mean, you
An
can
Oprah.
think outside of the box, though. I mean, I definitely want to give hope to people who, have
I
dreams.
know. I understand. I just want people to be realistic.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
For
like
sure.
my dad.
There you go.
It's hard, y'all. It's not easy.
No, for sure.
I don't want there to be any illusion.
Okay. I have this other question because I've noticed a lot of the reporters, and you have also said this. You had to start off from a small place, like a small radio, maybe radio station or small newspaper, and then climb your way up. For your part, you got noticed with your blog. How do the other
Yes.
people get noticed? Is it with their writing skills, or somebody refers to somebody and say, you know what, I know somebody from St. Louis, or somebody gets known from the area, or something happens in the area, and then they're like, I'm looking for a point person or a fixer. Then from the fixer job, then you start moving up.
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Hmm.
It depends. Again, it depends on what starting point you have.
Okay.
And because a lot of people have different types of starting points, but yeah, like usually it's a combination of like talent and skill and just your willingness to really push hard, no matter like what is thrown at you. You have to be really resilient, ultimately.
So, like, for okay, let me add this or maybe ask this follow up question on it. Like, so if you're a reporter in like Alaska, right,
Yes.
and you want to go to New York, you'd
Yes.
look for maybe these places where you network with other newspapers, and then all right, so you start that way. Okay,
Yeah.
that's your lead into now getting yourself to New York or maybe LA.
Or
That's your
covering a story that's hot and, you have an exclusive moment. It seems like taking advantage of opportunities and moments and current events and things like that. Like look at all the independent people that went to that Diddy trial. You know what I mean? Like
Of
people they
course.
packed up a mic, they packed up a tripod, and they put the in news sources would actually talk to nobody just because they were right there and they had something. You know what I mean? At the moment that was important. So.
Oh yes, definitely. No, I totally understand. Like you're just trying to build your way up. And so a lot of it does involve a lot of networking, a lot of it involves relationships, making friends, building and capitalizing on those relationships, working through various networks. It's a lot of work. That's just the reality of it. So it's like you want to get scoops, you want to come up with content that stands out from everyone else. I think, it's just a matter of the fact that you have to figure out what's going to have set you apart in this current environment and how you're going to break through a much louder, crowded space.
Mhm. Mm, okay.
oh, that's nice.
Well, any other questions about
I am
well, anything else
full.
you want to share?
I just know
Ebony
that
Orchids. And I was like, yes,
I
Sambaza.
just know that I have a special invitation for dinner with some coconut rice and some fish somewhere. Hey, that's all.
I'm
I'm
sure.
full. I'm full now. I'm good.
Well,
You have to
good.
catch her next time she comes Midwest. You're halfway there. The closer
Well,
travel
thank you.
then.
Thank you. I really appreciate your honesty and your feedback on all this. I was really excited when Jen told me that. And I'll be honest, most of the time, I don't like to go listen to or watch what you had before because I think that would have tainted my mind. And and I told Jen that I said, no, 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 no. I'm going to come and have you tell us the story. And I want to have the conversation with you, not the person I have read before. And it was great. I really enjoyed my time with you. So, Jen, I
Oh,
think,
thank you.
Yes.
yeah, she's a great friend.
Yes.
I just need to get more to talk to her. Oh, I follow you on LinkedIn, by the way. So you'll tell me more stories about Jen. Yes, we'll
Okay, of
take it up there.
course.
Yeah. See, Jen. Uh huh.
Very funny.
Uh huh. Jen.
Very funny.
But thank you so much.
Please,
Go ahead, Jen.
yes, and please share how people can contact you and your
Oh,
book.
of course. So people can follow me on Instagram. I'm Belton Danielle on Instagram. You can also follow Ebony and Orchid on Instagram. It's Ebony _and _orchid on Instagram. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, I'm there as well. And I'm very active on Threads. I
Oh,
don't know why, but I am.
Yeah, we're all over there.
yeah. We'll get you.
Yeah, I try to have a presence everywhere, even fan base. I think
Oh, it helps. It helps.
for sure. Okay.
Substack. What about Substack?
Oh,
I have a Substack. I don't update it as much as I used to. I don't always agree with their platform. So
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. I think this is another story we need to bring you back and talk about these platforms and Substack. All right.
of course.
Okay. Well, we thank you all for joining us on the additional platforms. We hope that today's conversation has inspired, enlightened you. If you found it meaningful, please consider sharing it with family, friends. Our collective awareness and advocacy play a crucial role in creating positive change, and we invite you to stay tuned for more engaging content. And we look forward to continuing these important conversations in the future. Um, this has been Woke by Accident. It's a Sambaza Podcast collaboration. Until next time, we ask Danielle to stay around for our proper goodbye. And everyone else, take care.